Hello everybody, Steve Griffiths here, developer of the MTPredictor software program. In today's MTPredictor video, I'd like to look at how the ES unfolded yesterday, which was the 21st of May, and in particular look at how we use multi-time frame analysis and also look at profits and losses and how we use position sizing to keep the inevitable losses small. But first we have to look at our risk disclaimer and remind you that all examples in these videos should be considered as hypothetical. No trades are actually taken. They're just shown for illustration and training purposes only. Remind you that there's a risk of loss in trading and investing. We'll be looking at a losing trade in today's video, but the most important thing is that all professional traders know and understand, but more importantly accept, that losses can and do unfold. Right, let's have a look at the ES yesterday. You can see we gapped up on the open, and then the market moved a little bit higher before we actually got some sell setups coming in here towards the high of the day. So as usual, let's go to our higher time frame chart. This is what we do in MTPredictor. We look to gauge the pattern on the higher time frame chart, and that's how we look to see whether the pattern's clear. Remember, markets go in cycles. About half the time the market's not clear and then basically in a random pattern and you shouldn't be doing anything. Then at the other half the market starts to become clear, and the reason or how we decide that is by looking at the higher time frame support and resistance zones. So before yesterday even unfolded, so if I go back to the day before, can you see how we had a swing pivot here? You can see visually there's an important swing pivot there, so we right mouse click, do decision point, and can you see how it's on the chart in advance? We're looking at a 15-minute chart here because we're looking to look for setups on a 3-minute. If you're say trading a daily chart, you go out to the higher time frame of the weekly. If you're say trading 15-minute forex, you go out to an hourly. But can you see how that was on the chart in advance before yesterday even opened? So if I turn training mode off, you can see this is what the ES did. It went up, made a first attempt at that DP reversal, came down a bit, then came back up again where the high was eventually made. So let's now see how this looks or what this looks like on the shorter time frame chart. So can you see here, this managed to nail the high of the day quite nicely indeed. The market made an initial high here. There were no particular setups. Our MTP trend had gone grey, showing you here the indication that the market was at a point where the market may well be making a reversal. So it was blue before and it actually turned red later in the day as the market trend turned down. So let's have a look at what happened here. There's actually a couple of setups at this high, but you see how these ones unfolded at the higher time frame resistance area. So let's use our training mode and see what would have actually happened at the time. We go forward one bar, and here we had a DP sell. Remember, it's on a black MTP trend at higher time frame resistance, therefore this would be a good one to take. So we right mouse click over the red sell bar, do analysis. Remember, our position sizing keeps our initial risk small and under control. So if this was taken into a short trade then stopped out, it would be what we call a 1R loss. In this case, less than 2% of a sample $20,000 account. You can have lots of different account sizes in different currencies if you wish. And as you can see, as I'm changing those, it changes the position sizing on our tool there as well. So let's see what happened. We go forward one bar. You can see the market just clipped you in. Just clipped you into a short trade. If I go forward for the next bar, it then came out and would have stopped you out for a losing trade. This is why I wanted to show this, because losses can and will and do happen. You can see this trade setup was then replaced with a history triangle, and I'll show how you can analyze these later so you can see what would have happened at the time. So we do the same again now. We place the mouse over the red cell bar, do right mouse click, do analysis, and again this gave us another potential setup, again using our position sizing, and let's see what happened now. We move forward, the market then took you into a short trade. If I move forward, you can see the market started to decline down and then suddenly made a very big wide range down bar into your first profit target. But the point being is, at this first profit target, can you see how the profit at not just $1,500, which obviously is large in relation to the initial risk of $350 that was required to take the trade, but this is why we do this in risk units. So the first trade we had was a loss, but the loss was kept small at 1 risk unit, or minus 1R. This profit was large at plus 4.3R. Obviously we're ignoring slippage and commission here, but can we call that approximately 4? So the point being is that this trade was 4 times greater than the losing trade before. So even though you had one loss and one profit, -1 plus 4 is +3 overall. So in other words, you make profits overall. Let's turn trading mode off and see what happened for the rest of the day. If I take that off, you can see the market basically chopped sideways, and there was another potential buy setup there. You can see there's a history triangle, so you could hover over the blue buy bar, do the analysis so you can see what that was. But obviously this was against a red MTP downtrend, and the more important thing, it was against our higher time frame resistance, which indicated the larger trend was down. So that would be one that you want to avoid. So that was a good example of using multi-time frame analysis in MTPredictor, where we use our higher time frame DP, in this case on the 15-minute chart, and as you can see that nailed the high very nicely. We then came down to the shorter time frame to then look for trade setups within that higher time frame analysis. And as you can see, there's a history triangle there, so you can actually right mouse click over that red cell bar and place the analysis on. So without using trading mode that I did earlier, you can still see that would have been a losing trade. Losses can and will and do unfold, but that loss was kept small at -1R. We then had another sell setup on that next DP cell that had a profit that was large, but not just large in dollars, but large in relation to the initial risk. So as you can see, a good example of using MTPredictor using our multi-time frame analysis and keeping our losses small and our profits large. That's basically what MTPredictor is about. We're not about trying to predict the future. We understand that markets go in cycles, so half the time the pattern's random, but half the time when the pattern's clear, and clear in relation to our higher time frame DP support and resistance zones, then we look to find trade setups that fall in the direction of that large degree trend, keeping the losses small, and over time hopefully having profits that are much larger than the losses. And that's where we use our position sizing. So that was the ES on the regular trading session yesterday, which was May the 21st.